Today we're going to look at a new carry pistol for me, the M&P Compact 2.0. Let's take a look. What's up, America? Neil here with Geauga Firearms Academy. Thanks for watching. So yeah, big news. I took a look at the new M&P 2.0 Compact and decided to start carrying that. For all of you that are so worried or going to make comments, no, I do not dislike or do I make any opinions whatsoever about Springfield. As you know, I've always been a big fan, and technically, mechanically, they're still superior, and I'll show you why. But I do believe that the M&P is more than sufficient and more than reliable, and I would definitely bet my life on it. So let's delve into the gun. We're going to look at both the 1.0, the original version. We're going to look at this new Compact 2.0, and then I'm going to even compare it just for fun with the Springfields and what I've always said about those. So as you can see here, we have the M&P Compact, the one I've been carrying now. This is the 2.0. We have the original, that's the regular full size, the service model, the 4.25. And then just for grins, I have the XD Mod 2 in the 4-inch model as well. And we'll take them apart and kind of show you the differences. But for now, let's just look at the M&Ps. So again, this is the one that I've been carrying now. This is the Compact, and the real difference with this one is that the barrel length, instead of being 4 1/4, is 4. So hardly a difference whatsoever. The other difference is that it's going to have a shortened grip with a 15-round magazine capacity. You're going to get 2 of these in here and a couple extension plates, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. But this is pretty much the Glock 19 size of gun. I think it's a whole lot of nonsense. I mean, I actually prefer the XDM subcompact because it's a little bit shorter grip. If you can't shoot your gun effectively with your pinky hanging off, then you can't shoot your gun effectively. So that's the bottom line there. And it's still a little bit easier to hide that gun. But that said, the little bit longer grip compared to my subcompact, that does help controllability. Of course, the new finish has been upgraded as far as the grip. It's much more aggressive than the original 1.0. I mean, a significant difference. In fact, I've already gone ahead and stippled the gun the way I want it and changed a couple things. I did an undercut under here already, and then put my regular grip tape on the places that I like, also underneath here as well. But the standard from the factory stippling is very aggressive, and some people love that, and some people hate it. I would agree that you will definitely need to wear an undershirt because you don't want this rubbing on your skin. But nonetheless, that's a compromise I'm more than willing to make. So let's take a look at the box real quick and what comes in it. So you guys know I'm not a big unboxer. I think that's kind of silly, unless it's like the physical size or something like that. But it does come in its standard M&P box with the foam and all that good stuff. It does come with 4 back straps, which is always a plus, and they are labeled on the outside. It comes standard with the medium. This one is the next size up. The medium large fits my hand much better. I may go to the extra large. I'm not sure yet, but right now I like the way this fits. You're going to get 2 15-round magazines. You're also going to get inside here, and I've already this is the extension plate. So what this is going to do is that it's going to give you the full size grip. So this is going to be the same as the regular 4.25 or the 5-inch, the full size grip. And the plates are loose. I find that they're too loose for me. They move around too much, and I try to insert them in the gun, especially when we drop them and they get dirty. So I super glue these all the way to the bases, so I cannot take them off. So it's a solid one piece. I will say that I am much happier with the M&P height on this. It's a much shorter extension than, say, the XDMs. I run the magazines naked, so to speak. If I'm going to insert one, it's not going to have the extension base because I cannot drop it out of my hand. I just can't get my hands enough. I have to hold it like 2 fingers. So I do like the height on this one. It's easier to drop free without having to do any really changes to my grip. So here you go. We have the Compact, and I'm going to put the 1.0, which is identical size to the 2.0, the 4 1/4 that is. And we can stack them up here. This is where I always kind of, I don't really get it personally, but what the big hype about this gun is when I put this magazine in, that the difference between that flush and that, so you're talking, I don't even know, maybe, what is that, 1/4 inch? You're saying that this is now the perfect carry size? Okay, I'll buy that, I guess. I think that's kind of silly. I think that they're relatively the same size. I mean, yes, this is call it a 1/4 inch difference. I don't think if you can conceal that pretty well, then you can conceal that pretty well. And then when we're talking about barrel lengths, so if I line this up, not the beaver tail back here, but if we just line it up, you're talking about a 1/4 of an inch. If you go from beaver tail to the very end, then you get a little bit of extra there. This part is the one that's going to be in your pants anyway, so I don't really think that matters. The part that you're going to have to conceal is this. So at the end of the day, I think that the M&P pistol, as it is a great gun. You guys have known I'm an armor for M&P, so I think it's a quality gun. But to say that it's like earth-shattering now that we've cut that little bit out, I mean, when you look at the magazine, it will show you the exact amount. That amount right there makes it a perfect carry size. I disagree with that. I think that's kind of nonsense. But once I put the full size in, that would be identical size. Or of course, again, you can go to the compact with 15, so you get 16 total rounds, and then you're there. So let's just, for grins, since you guys know I'm a Springfield fan, this is the Mod 2 4.0. For size comparison, since they both have a 4-inch barrel, they're literally identical in length. I would say identical in trigger guards. Yeah, probably a 1/4 inch or so in grip length. It's going to be a little bit longer, but other than that, they're pretty much identical in size. If that 1/4 inch of grip is your big deal, then that's a clear winner. But aside from that, thickness, the whole 9 yards, pretty much the same deal there. So this one has the Apex trigger. I've not been a fan of any of the stock triggers, but that's, I mean, in any gun really. Obviously, if we can take advantage of a better trigger, why not? This one is the duty carry. It's the only one that they have available November 2017. I'm sure they'll come out with more of a flat face one. I love this trigger. I absolutely love this trigger. It's the way it comes, if you use all the springs that Apex gives you, it actually is a heavier trigger. I know they say otherwise, but you can test it yourself. There is no question. It is about, not much, but a 1/4 of a pound heavier than stock. It does have an incredibly short reset, and it is definitely a better trigger. The trick to the matter is, if we just use the stock return spring, trigger return spring, which I'll show you in a second, this will be an exact 4-pound trigger. This trigger is exactly 4 pounds. I've used it both in the Lyman electronic and on the weighted scale, and it's a pretty incredible trigger, and I don't have any desire whatsoever to change it. So let's break this apart and see what the upgrades are. All right, so here's the big comparison. This is what I've always said about the Springfield over everybody else. These big rails, let me rephrase that. These rails here have always been my kind of gripe that they should be a little heavier duty, considering this is the only metal-to-metal slide and frame contact that you have. And so this is the 1.0. And of course, what did they change for the new 2.0? Well, they did exactly what I've been saying. They enlarged the rail surface, just like the way the Springfields have been. Okay, there's the Springfield Mod 2. You can see that beefy rail, which is now just like the M2. And that's a huge improvement from the 1.0. The rear is pretty much the same. So internally, they've also stiffened up the frame. They've put more steel in there, so there's more rigidity to it. Definitely a very nice addition there. But the rails was one of the big ones for me. The other big one, of course, is the feed ramp. So let's look at that next. Springs, again, are the same, 1.0, 2.0, no big deal. But you do have, in my opinion, a little bit better. I like the dual spring in the Springfield, but it's really not that different. As long as I have a steel guide rod, I'm pretty happy with the steel spring. Now here's where the big difference comes in. In the 1.0, and this has always been a gripe of mine about the M&P, is it had this crappy feed ramp. It wasn't polished, and it wasn't very wide. And so now, again, what did they do to improve it? Well, they changed all that. They made a much wider, let me grab a rag real quick and wipe this off. So here's the 2.0. You can see a much wider, much more highly polished feed ramp. Now, I polished this again myself, so that's a little more than stock, but still, the original was just kind of a coated feed ramp. And so major advantage. If you can't get around from the magazine in the chamber, it's not going to go bang. And if we look at that from the Springfield world, it also comes with a polished feed ramp. Still, this is a superior polish job. It's definitely better than any other manufacturer I've seen so far. But M&P has definitely stepped up their game in that area. I just want to show you the Apex trigger now as well. What you'll find here, once you take that just the safety part of this out, you're immediately going to hit this little bit of slack area, but hits this wall real quick. It's real defined, okay? So you're going to hit that wall, and then now just 4 pounds, and the shot's going to break. But here's what's really crazy. This reset, that is like, it's close to the best thing I can describe, if you guys have ever shot an SRT trigger in a SIG, it's about that short. It is amazingly short trigger. And again, it's a 4-pound trigger if you use the M&P factory spring. The original M&P trigger is definitely an upgrade from the previous 1.0, but certainly not as good as the Apex. The only other thing I've done, as I do with all guns, is I black out the rear sight, and I changed this to a Dawson Precision front sight. I did find that the gun shot low, bench rested at 10 yards, and Dawson Precision has a really great, it's called the sight calculator, that you can use if you have a pair of calipers, that you can do some measurements. Now, I will tell you that the factory front sight is .180 in height, regardless of what Smith & Wesson says. They're going to tell you it's .234, but they're measuring from the base to the top. When you use the Dawson calculator, you're measuring from the top of the sight to the top of the slide, and that is .80. You'll need that number if you decide to change out your front sight. If you want to, if your gun is shooting high or low, the calculator will tell you exactly what blade height you'll need. Again, this is from a bench-rested mark from someone who is a skilled shooter, so you don't just go to the range and shoot a couple rounds and decide what you're going to do. One of the big complaints that I've seen online is that these cocking serrations they put up front are no good, and your finger goes here and blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Here's the thing. I put some grip tape here. It wouldn't matter. I'm going to show you with the 1.0. The 1.0 has no serrations whatsoever. If you want to grab it and press check or whatever you're going to do, so do it. I mean, you're going to have to hold it with some force, but whether there's anything there or not is irrelevant. So the fact that they added something, I'd say is a plus. I put a little grip tape on there, especially if my hands are wet or sweaty or whatever, to do that. I like to press check it. Especially now, since Smith & Wesson, naughty, they put a really nice loaded chamber indicator, just like the Springfield has always had, okay, where it actually physically sticks up on their 5-inch model. But did they put it on the 4.25 or this 4-inch? No, they gave you this BS window. Like, how would you know at night what are you going to put your flashlight on it? So, in my opinion, a press check is necessary for this gun just to make sure that there is a round in there before you leave, and that's just kind of a standard operating procedure I do with any gun, is to press check it and make sure it's seated, and then I put it in my holster. But nonetheless, I would have liked to have seen that feature on the 4.25, both the 4.25 and this compact version. We're going to go take it out and run through its paces. I've been shooting it quite a bit now. Obviously, I've sighted that in already, so we'll take a look at some actual footage of that. But what's to be taken from this whole deal, from my opinion? First of all, it's definitely a quality improvements. All the things that they've done with the grip, the frame, the slide rails, the trigger have all been a great improvement and well needed for the M&P line. And now I think it's a fantastic gun. Obviously, I'm carrying it now, and I love it. Do I think that the new size is like revolutionary? No, it's a 1/4 inch difference in the grip length, and honestly, I would actually have it a little smaller and be done with it. It's definitely that big gap, that big bridge from the Glock 19 perfect size that everybody wants. So now you got it, so you can't complain. I would also agree that M&P, the compact, the original 1.0, that was kind of just a weird size gun, and I would agree with that. So I think this is a good fit, and really you don't sacrifice anything with the gun. Because they give you the sleeves and it runs the regular 17 full-size mags or extended mags or whatever you want to put in it, you can run the full size with the full-size grip. And if you don't and you want to run the 15s for carry, you got that too. And you're only giving up a 1/4 inch on the barrel. Honestly, I mean, I would think they could have just left it at 4.25 to be straight with you. I don't think that 1/4 inch really makes a huge difference. But all in all, it's a quality gun. Let's go out and put some rounds through it. All right, so here we go. We're going to run some paces. What I like to use when I kind of look at accuracy and stuff like that, I like to use the 1-inch dot. So I've got my 1-inch dot target up there. We're going to take some shots and see how it goes. So let's get it out and get it hot. One thing I'll tell you guys, all the holsters that I've used, even for the 1.0, seem to fit this pretty well. I know that some say they will, they won't. I haven't had any issues. Also, on a side note, if you have an XDM, even the custom mag pouches that are made specifically for that fit these perfectly as well. So kind of a odd thing, but just so you know, may help somebody. So let's put some rounds down range. All right. All right, so there you go. That's a 1-inch circle. There's 5 shots. I got 1 on the outside. That was just me, but definitely put nice tight shots in there. Very happy with its accuracy once I've changed that front sight out to again, because it was shooting a little low as it was, and that could have been just my gun. You're gonna have to, every gun needs to be 0 regardless. I know everybody wants the 0 in AR-15, but never a pistol. But a pistol needs to be 0 too. So I'm very happy with that. Okay guys, well that's my take on the new compact M2.0. I think it's a fantastic gun. M&Ps have always been fantastic guns, but these have definitely been improved in all the right ways. The new sturdier frame, the new larger slides the rails for the slide, the new polished feed ramp, or at least more polished feed ramp. Really good, excellent texturing on the grip, 4 palm swells. So I would say all in all, it's a fantastic gun. Not really many things that I can be critical about it. Again, if you're looking for a host of upgrades, if you're going to build a competition gun or something like that, you probably want to stick with the 1.0 because there's just not a whole lot as of yet. Again, this is filmed in November of 2017, so when you see this, they may have all changed. But right now, Apex has 1 trigger. It's their duty trigger. It's fantastic. I definitely recommend it. If you have any questions, feel free to go below and I will answer as many as I can. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Please, please, please share our videos. That's how we grow. So if you want to help me out, that's how you do it. You can, of course, find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and, of course, all our A-list content and specialized series go to Patreon. Until next time, remember, it's always better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.